Right here will probably power up like a small spaceship or like a, you know, a small airplane. Tracking device in here, you can have it back. This is year 2022, and you know, you would think like, hey, we're gonna have flying cars by now. You know, this car right here is a 2013, and you know, it's not a flying car, but let me show you a couple of things. So I just picked this up like a week ago. It's a 2013 Ford Fiesta. The battery's missing because it's on charge right now. Battery's good, I just have to charge it again. It was a no crank, no start, non-running, stationary auction car, right? It's what I love to get usually. Normally you would have a transmission issue in this, or you know, engine problem. Now this car has 89,000 miles on it, clean title, even though there's a few things on the door. No big deal. So then you walk over here, and the more you look at it, the more fun it gets. So this right here is a tracking device, I believe, and then there's a remote start maybe, and all this wiring here, it was tapped into this box, into that box, this plugged into the OBD, then this wire goes up there for the antenna, which is somewhere in the dash or on the windshield, whatever. Then you're like, okay, so there's more wires. All right, some of it was tapped into the ignition, right? So that should have been a sign when I couldn't program the keys. I made like 4 keys so far, and none of them want to program. It goes through the procedure, this and that, but it doesn't want to program. Obviously, because one of these modules kept beeping. I don't know which one this is. But then it gets worse. So you follow this wiring here, and then you're like, where does it go? Oh wait, it plugs into the door for some reason. Look at this. I mean, I give props to whoever installed this. They did solder, but where they didn't solder, they used the butt connectors and non-shrink tube, no shrink tube. It's just taped. It's taped and ugly. So now I see why this car ended up at the auction. My guess is this car wouldn't crank, or someone lost the key, because this car came with 1 key and it looked like a brand new key, like someone just cut it and couldn't program. Now usually Fords take 2 keys to program, unless you have keys already stored. You can add 1, and sometimes that will work. I don't know, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Anyways, so this car came in on the, you know, on my trailer, and ignition turns on, everything, and something starts beeping, which is this guy. So I'm guessing that's some kind of security. I don't know. Someone really tried to track this car, and whoever installs these kind of kits should be banned from everything, because that's a fuse. That fuse looks good. There's a couple relays. One of them looked like it was partially unplugged. Maybe that was one of the problems. But either way, I'm cutting all this out, and I'm going to solder the wires back as they should be, back to OEM spec, and I'm going to try to program this, and we'll see if it starts. If this thing starts, it's sort of an easy fix. I mean, just getting rid of all this junk. You know, this right here will probably power up like a small spaceship, or like a, you know, a small airplane. Probably enough wiring to run a cruise ship maybe. But all of this was tucked behind the airbag. There's a knee airbag that goes here. I just don't see how that's even legal. So if there's someone out there that still installs this kind of stuff, stop. There's different types of trackers these days. There's OEM remote starts that you can install, which is a small little box that plugs right in, no soldering required. Stop this. That's a fire hazard for sure. You know, wiring is fun and all, but you gotta have the patience for it, and you gotta do it right, because if you don't, you're either gonna have problems right away or in the future. So Gotta do it right. Does anyone know when shrink tube was invented? Because it looked like someone didn't believe in it or wasn't able to get it, because it's all soldered in, even into the OBD2 connector. It's all soldered, but it's taped. Like, I'm pretty sure shrink tube's been around for a long time. For those that don't know what shrink tube is, it's this little tube. This one's double sealed that goes over the wire. You know, you solder your wire or whatever, you put it over it and you melt it with a heat gun, or if you know, if you're in the field, you can just take a lighter to it and just heat it up. So much better than taping. Look at that. Boom. There it is. Alright, I think I have everything connected back, except the airbag. I'm going to leave that out for now, just in case I got to double check anything, and I still have to fix the 2 wires. But I have them together for the moment, and what I'm going to do now is put the battery back in, and try to program some keys. Now I have 4 keys, I'm going to program them all, and whoever put their tracking device in here, you can have it back. Wake me up in 9 minutes.
Your alarm is set for 11:39 a.m.
Thank you. So this right here has got to be the coolest portable air pump from Milwaukee, and it's battery powered, and all you do is you set your PSI. Like, this car needs 32, but I'm gonna go with 35 because it's getting colder. You put that on, and I'm showing 26.5, and you just hit, and it pumps until it gets to 35 PSI. Name a better tool. When it gets to 35 PSI, automatically stops. You just take that off and move on to the next tire. Easy. Cool. What's this? Another tracking device? How many are there? Yeah, boy. Wow, I think it's actually working now. Successful. Okay. Do you wish to program another key? Yes. So there's that one. Okay. Hopefully this works, because this is like the 3rd time I'm trying it. Okay, so at this point, I believe that all 4 keys are programmed, but there's another issue that came up, which is probably the reason why this thing ended up at the auction in the first place. Transmission control system electrical fault, and it doesn't want to crank. That means it doesn't know what gear it's in, and that gives me an idea that it is the TCM that's the problem. So I'm about to throw in a used TCM from the same year, and we're gonna try to crank it. For those that don't know what a TCM is, that's a transmission control module. It's held by 4 bolts on the driver's side of the car, right there. And 3 of the bolts you can get from the bottom. The 4th one's easier to get from underneath the battery tray. So just remove the air box, the battery tray, and the battery tray bracket, and you can get to that 4th bolt. It's a little bit easier on a Ford Focus. The TCMs are the same, but I believe, not 100% sure, but I believe that the programs are different from 2012 through 2014 Focus, and then 15 through 18 Ford Focus. Same thing with Fiesta, but I think Fiesta is 2011 through 2013, and then 14 through 18, they're different. So I have a couple used ones. This is the one I just removed off this car. We'll set that aside. There is a power code, which I showed earlier on the scan tool. So one of these is supposed to be good. I need to start labeling them better. This is a 15 Fiesta. This one's more promising because it looks better. But this one is also supposed to be good. It's a 12 Fiesta, so I'm gonna probably start with the 15 Fiesta and just go from there, just because I like the way it looks better. The O-rings, if they look okay, you can reuse them, but if they don't, they're pretty cheap. And I know I have some new ones. This is to see if this thing will even start, so let's get it. But if you are gonna reprogram the TCM regardless, it doesn't really matter. 2011 through 2018 Fiesta, Focus, they're all the same. If you're gonna reprogram it, just go ahead and get any 11 through 18. Alright, so 2 days ago this car was completely brain dead. Nothing was working. Found that nice piece of tracking devices, and that's the original TCM, but that wasn't the problem. Basically, I've got 2 keys made. They didn't work, couldn't program them. Got 2 more keys made of a different style, 2011 through 2013. That didn't work either. Called the best locksmith in town, Buncombe County Lock and Key, and he came out and helped me program them, and you won't believe what it was. So around the key cylinder here, there's this antenna. This is a different one of a parts car. And what someone did was they took the old key apart at some point, took the chip out of it and taped it on to here. And so every time we try to add a key, you know, we try to add a key and it's still reading the original chip, and you can't add more than 1 key, so therefore it wasn't working. But at this point it runs and drives. I just drove it a couple miles. So basically that is why this car ended up at the auction, is because someone messed around with the security and the chip and the key. I've never seen that before, so I wanted to share that. But now all 4 keys work now, and all I have to do is just assemble everything, put the airbag back in and clear the airbag light, and that's it. So learn something new every day, I guess. Stay tuned for more videos later.